Imagine losing everything in the blink of an eye, your freedom, your dignity, and even the chance to prove your innocence. Now, imagine this nightmare unfolding not because of your actions, but because of the color of your skin. This is the story of Marcus Hale, a man who spent 25 years behind bars for a crime he didn't commit. His is a story of systemic failure, perseverance, and the enduring search for justice. Marcus Hale was a 24-year-old warehouse worker in Savannah, Georgia, known for his infectious laugh and a knack for fixing just about anything. Life wasn't perfect, but it was simple. That was until the fateful night of July 17, 1995, when the quiet rhythm of his life was shattered forever. That evening, Marcus was walking home from his night shift when the sound of police sirens pierced the air. He barely noticed them until two squad cars screeched to a halt beside him. "Hands up," a voice barked. Confused and terrified, Marcus complied. The officers handcuffed him on the spot, barely offering an explanation beyond, "You match the description." Marcus later learned he was being arrested for the brutal robbery and murder of a local shopkeeper, a man he had never met in a part of town he rarely visited. The trial was swift, almost mechanical. The prosecution painted Marcus as a desperate young black man seeking fast money, using eyewitness testimony to seal their case. But the so-called eyewitnesses had conflicting accounts. One described the suspect as having a scar across his face, something Marcus did not have. Another claimed the suspect was wearing a red hoodie, but Marcus didn't own one. Then came the kicker, a grainy security camera photo that vaguely resembled Marcus. It was enough for the jury, made up of 11 white members and one black juror. They deliberated for just 4 hours before delivering their verdict: guilty. When the judge pronounced a life sentence, Marcus's mother screamed in the courtroom. "He didn't do it," she cried, but her words were drowned out by the gavel striking down. Marcus was led away in handcuffs, his dreams and future crumbling before his eyes. Prison was a brutal adjustment. Marcus spent the first few years in shock, grappling with the weight of his sentence. His days were filled with hard labor and his nights with the deafening silence of a prison cell. He often replayed the trial in his mind, wondering how the system could have failed so catastrophically. But Marcus wasn't just a victim of circumstance, he was also a victim of racial bias. Savannah, in the mid-90s, was a city with deep racial divides. Black men like Marcus were disproportionately targeted by law enforcement, and his case was no different. The police had been under pressure to solve the murder quickly, and Marcus was an easy scapegoat. In 2020, after 25 long years, Marcus's story took a dramatic turn. Enter Sarah Langley, a young journalist passionate about exposing wrongful convictions. While researching a series on systemic racism in the justice system, she stumbled upon Marcus's case. The inconsistencies in the trial, the rushed investigation, and the lack of physical evidence immediately caught her attention. Sarah reached out to Marcus, now 49, through his lawyer. Her first visit to the prison was sobering. Marcus, once a vibrant young man, now had streaks of gray in his hair and lines of exhaustion etched into his face. But his spirit wasn't broken. "I didn't do it," he said simply, looking Sarah in the eye. "I've been saying it for 25 years. Sarah began digging into the case with relentless determination. She uncovered shocking details. Flawed eyewitness testimony. The key witnesses had been pressured by police to identify Marcus, despite their initial uncertainty. Suppressed evidence. Police had ignored a tip pointing to another suspect, a man with a history of violence in the area. Racial bias in the jury. Interviews with former jurors revealed that some had openly expressed doubts but were overruled by racial prejudice in the deliberation room. With the help of a pro bono legal team, Sarah unearthed new evidence. DNA from the crime scene that had never been tested. The DNA did not match Marcus. In 2022, Marcus was granted a hearing to present the new evidence. The courtroom was packed, with media outlets covering the case that had become a symbol of systemic injustice. The prosecution scrambled to defend their original conviction, but the evidence was damning. Witnesses recanted their testimonies, admitting they had been coerced. The DNA evidence pointed to an alternative suspect who had since died in a police shootout. When the judge finally announced the decision, Marcus sat frozen, gripping the edge of the table. "Marcus Hale, you are hereby exonerated of all charges. You are free to go." The courtroom erupted. Marcus's mother, now frail but still his fiercest supporter, collapsed into tears. Sarah hugged Marcus tightly, whispering, "You're free." Freedom was bittersweet. Marcus had lost 25 years of his life, missing milestones, family gatherings, and the chance to build a future. Yet he refused to be consumed by bitterness. Instead, he channeled his energy into advocacy, speaking out about racial bias and wrongful convictions. Through his efforts, Marcus became a symbol of resilience and a voice for those still trapped by the system. Marcus Hale's story isn't just about one man's journey, it's about a broken system and the lives it destroys. It's a call to action for all of us to demand accountability, fairness, and justice. As Marcus often says, the truth will always find its way, but sometimes, it needs a little help. Hit the subscribe button for more interesting stories that will inspire you.